Hi, everybody. On this edition of Being Rusty on Sports, I want to review last Sunday's divisional playoff round, as well as give my predictions for today's conference championships. It was a really interesting set of games on Sunday. We saw um, the emergence of Cincinnati as an AFC power beyond the Buffalo Bills. Certainly, their 27-10 win was convincing. In Buffalo, it was only the second defeat the Buffalo has ever had in the playoffs, hosting a playoff game since the merger. And it was a convincing victory. There's no doubt about that. The inability of the Buffalo Bills to run the ball effectively. I believe they only had 67 yards of total rushing. It was uh, it was disappointing as a Bills fan. It shows that there is a disparity between the two teams in terms of the overall depth on the roster. I think that there's a lot of questions to be asked of Buffalo in the offseason. They have to find a more consistent running attack, probably a another main running back, because I don't think Devon Singletary is the answer. They have the young running back Cook. I think he's possibly going to develop into something very good, but I don't know at the moment what they can do with the current configuration of the offense. Um, they have to find more weapons than they have. I think they have to find a consistent piece to complement Stefan Diggs at receiver as a main threat. I don't think that Isaiah McKenzie or Gabe Davis have shown that on a consistent level, and I think that really came to the fore against Cincinnati. Cincinnati ran the ball superbly. Joe Burrow was a stud. Um, they very quickly got a 14-0 lead. They absolutely dominated the early going of the game and they set the tone. And it's very difficult, even in home game in the snow, to get back on the beam when you've been knocked off. And I think that this is a lesson for the Buffalo Bills going forward. There was another game this week that really impressed me in terms of just dominance, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles game against the New York Giants. The Eagles won their game 38-7 and completely obliterated the Giants. 268 rushing yards throughout the entire game. Devonta Smith, uh, just a tremendous receiver. Jalen Hurts, very, very careful with the ball, made key runs when he had to. Of course, he's coming back from a shoulder injury in the last week of the season. So he really, he directed the game very well. And I think that, you just see the defensive dominance of Philadelphia causing key turnovers. And they're a very physical team, very well coached, and I think that they're going to have a tremendous game against the 49ers today. I'll be talking about that in a little bit later. Um, the Chiefs, of course, Kansas City, they defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20. I think that the game showed the difference, just the margin between a young quarterback who's just getting started in the league as a force in Trevor Lawrence, and arguably the most valuable player in the league in in Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. The key takeaway from that game is the injury to Patrick Mahomes as a result of a high ankle sprain that he received late in the first quarter. It limited his mobility quite a bit. He was able to gut it out. Chad Henne came in as their backup late in the first quarter and led a 98-yard drive, which was superb. But Mahomes was able to come back and they were able to win. But I think that this is going to be a key factor in today's game is just how mobile Patrick Mahomes can be and how effective he can be, basically being limited in the pocket, not being able to improvise off script, moving all over the place. So that's going to be a key factor in the game today. But last Sunday's game, the Chiefs were able to do a lot with Isaiah Pacheco. He had, I'm just getting it here, he had 95 yards on 12 carries, including a big run that he had that, set up the touchdown late in the second quarter, 38 yards, I believe. He was a pleasant surprise, although he's shown sparks throughout the season. I think he really came into his own last Sunday. So he's someone to watch for. Definitely, they're going to have to get him involved more in the offense. I think with the limitations to Mahomes, they're going to have to try to run the ball, I think, more and control the clock because Joe Burrow is an absolute playoff killer, as I said in one of my latest podcasts. So I think that it's going to be a tremendous game today. But that was the game last Sunday. I think that Trevor Lawrence showed his future is bright. He made a couple of errors in the game, threw a key interception late in the game. And of course, there was the Jamar Agnew turnover late in the game. Agnew is a spark as well. He's a very, very good special teams player, but with about 5 minutes left, that turnover that he made deep in Kansas City zone snuffed out a drive and basically ended the game effectively. So that's something that he's going to have to build upon. I don't think that the Jaguars are that far away from being a perennial playoff team. They have a very young and talented roster, and a lot like Cincinnati, they just seem to have a lot of the boxes checked as to how you build a team. And as long as they can continue to develop under Trevor Lawrence's rookie contract, I think that there's something special to be had from the Jaguars going forward. And the final game on the slate last Sunday that I want to talk about is the San Francisco-Dallas game. San Francisco won 19-12. It was basically a defensive struggle. Brock Purdy of the 49ers really had as good a game as you can have without doing anything special for a rookie. He didn't make the key mistake. He was cool under pressure, but I think that the moment didn't get too much of him. But I think that it was one of those things where Dallas had an opportunity and they simply blew it. Dak Prescott had two costly interceptions. There was one in particular where I don't know where the hell he was throwing the ball. It was terrible. And yet again, Dallas loses in the divisional round. This team is snake bit. And I just can't believe how, with a team with that kind of roster historically, it's been over a quarter century since the Dallas Cowboys made it to the NFC Championship. So that's something that they're going to have to live with. I was really stunned by the last play of the game. I don't know if you saw it, but it was kind of like uh, the really bad version of the Stanford band play, where they try to have Ezekiel Elliott make a shotgun snap to Dak Prescott and move their offensive linemen to the near sidelines on both sides and do some kind of bubble screen magic. And the play completely collapsed. It was a non thing. Ezekiel Elliott was planted into the ground. It was a complete disaster. Nothing came of it. And for the second straight year, the Dallas Cowboys can't make a meaningful play late in the game to try to pull a game out of the hat because of just simply bad design or bad time management. It was bizarre, to say the least. So that leads to today's games. I think that it's going to be really exciting to watch both contests, the early game being the Eagles game against the Niners in Philadelphia. And I do predict that San Francisco will pull it out. San Francisco should come out on top. I think that there's just too much talent on both sides of the ball between two teams that deserve to be in the NFC Championship that I can't really see much of a difference between the two teams. I think that San Francisco will win. I have them winning 20-17 in a very close game. But it's going to be very tough. Both teams are very stout against the run. I don't see much of a difference between the teams on either side of the ball. Their special teams are very solid. So it's going to be very close, but I had predicted San Francisco to get to the Super Bowl, and I believe that that's still going to happen in a very close game. As far as the late game, which is Cincinnati and Kansas City at Arrowhead, I think that the Bengals are going to pull the game out to 31-27. Going to be very close. I think that Mahomes is a good passer out of the pocket, but that key difference in his game is when he's able to extend the play and allow his receivers downfield to create space. And I think that his injury, being a high ankle sprain, as the game continues, if it's aggravated in any way, I think it's going to be a real tough time for the Chiefs against that very talented Cincinnati Bengals defense that gave Josh Allen absolutely no time most of the game to create off script. So I think that that's going to be a key factor. Joe Mixon, I think, is really on on the spot today because he has to show that he can dominate a big matchup. Last week he really had a good game, but he's going to have to really raise his level in order to beat the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And I think that that's something that he can do with the balance that they have overall on that team. Jamar Chase, he's going to make some plays. There's absolutely no question in my mind that he's going to have at least one or two touchdowns. But I think it's going to boil down to the fact that Mahomes is going to be limited. And Joe Burrow, if he continues to play as he did against Buffalo, I think that Cincinnati is going to pull that game out. So it's an exciting week of games. The weekend today with both the Bengals and the 49ers being favored by me. This will make it the third time that those two teams have competed in the Super Bowl. So we'll see if my predictions are right. Even if I'm wrong, I know that we're going to have tremendous games today, and I think that it's going to be a Super Bowl no matter what teams are in it. So until next week, we're gonna have more videos to come your way. So please like and subscribe this one, and stay tuned for the coming videos on sports history, as well as a preview of the Super Bowl. It should be a really good time for sports fans, particularly football fans. And me and Michael, we're also going to have more shows coming up on our broadcast. So until next time, thanks for your attention and take care.